and welcome to a short tutorial on how to use the Hummingbird. First, plug the Hummingbird board into the power and to USB on your computer. On your computer, click on Bird Brain, and when it opens, make sure that the Hummingbird connected is green. If not, close the program, disconnect the USB, and reconnect before restarting the program. Then click Open Snap. Notice that it opens with a program already loaded. It includes some new blocks that work specifically with the Hummingbird. This program makes a colored light flash when the spacebar is pressed and turns off when the X key is pressed. When wiring any component, the black wire is always the negative wire. The positive wires are usually red, but this is green. The board is well labeled. The number corresponds to the number you use in the blocks in Snap. This is a light sensor. It has 3 wires. In this case, the positive is red. The board is labeled with sensors here, so I should use this row. I'm plugging this into number 1. Most components are wired in by pushing on the tab and inserting the wire. This is a servo motor. It's wired differently. It uses a 3-pin connector. It's labeled B, R, and Y on the board to help you connect it correctly. Press the connector firmly onto the pins. Now I'm going to plug in some more components, including a tricolor LED, which you can program to change colors. Next is a DC motor. The DC motor has 2 orange wires. It does not matter whether you plug them into the positive or the negative. It does not have a polarity. Now let's write a program to make these things work. In the motion menu, you have 3 new blocks, including a servo motor, DC motor, and vibration motor. In the looks menu, you have 2 additional blocks for the LED, single color, and the tricolor LED. In the sensing menu, there are a wide variety of sensors. So far, we've only discussed the light sensor. We'll begin the program with a when green flag clicked. Go back to the motion menu and grab the servo motor. We're using servo motor 1, so I'm leaving that default alone, and then I'm typing in a number 45. Why not? Then we'll add the DC motor. It's also plugged into port 1, and I'll change that number to 100. Switching over to the looks menu, I'm going to choose the single color LED. Then I'm going to add the tricolor LED. This one I actually plugged into the number 2 spot, so I'm going to change that to 2. I'm also going to change the RGB, red, green, blue levels, because I already have a green LED plugged in. I want it to be blue. Now, I also want a way to turn this off. So I add a servo, I add a motor, I add an LED, a tricolor LED, and I change all the values to 0. When I click the green flag, everything turns on. The DC motor is running, the green light is on, the blue light is on. But what happened with the servo motor? Let's watch it again. On. Off. The servo motor moves to the angle indicated in your code. Okay, so let's figure out what the sensor does now. I'm going to drag the light sensor out. And notice that it doesn't really do anything. It has to go inside something. So I'll drag out a when green flag clicked, and I'm going to go to the variables. A sensor is input. It reads values, in this case the value of the light in the room. It will return a value between 0 and 1. So I create a variable called light, and an output for it appears on the stage. Now I need a way to read that value from the sensor. So I use a set light to Hummingbird light 1. Again, the 1 in the Hummingbird light is the number on the board that you plugged into. Before you start the program, the light sensor reads 0. When you hit the green flag, it reads the amount of light in the room, and the sensor gives you a value between 0 and 100. I'm going to stop the program and restart it to see if I can get another reading if I cover the light sensor with my hand. And I do. Great, so now I want to use the light sensor as a switch to turn my circuit off instead of using the when spacebar pressed. I'll remove the things I don't need anymore, and I'm going to use a wait until and then use a comparison, greater than or less than, to help me see when the light is a larger number. So wait until Hummingbird Light 1 is greater than 40. Then I reattach my blocks and I test. I have my finger over the sensor when I start the program, so everything starts running. And then when I release my finger, so the light increases to the sensor, everything stops. Okay, great. So let's play around a little bit more. I want to see more happen with my servo motors and my tricolor LED. And let's see what happens when we test it. That's much more interesting. The servo motor is going back and forth, and the tricolor LED is flashing red and blue. I also added a bit of code to continuously read the sensor. So when I remove my hand, it turns off, but also if I put my finger back over the sensor, it reduces the number, and I release my finger, it increases the number. So you can see that constant sensing is happening using just these little lines of code. Thanks for watching, and we'll be using the Hummingbird soon in class.